Hello, how are you? Hope you're all good. So back on the 18 mg dose of Concerta. Took the first one Thursday, as I mentioned. Now, for me, unusually short. One I posted on, was it Thursday? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, and back to what I'd experienced the first week at work. Quiet head, other than that, focus fine, motivation, working memory, attention, yeah, all the stuff it's kind of designed to do, as it balances out dopamine. I'm sure it does a whole lot more than that. And coming into this thing, I didn't have any expectations. I had a hope that it would calm the heat down. I've mentioned briefly a couple of times, I kind of had reason to believe that was what was going to happen. But I will say no more than that. And it did. But there have been, let's go this way. There have been several other knock-on positives that I've noticed. I've mentioned a couple of them, but it has to be as a result of taking that, and it's positively affecting other things, which is really cool. I mentioned on the first day of just a few hours after taking it, my very first dose, that I'd noticed that I just felt a bit more confident. Again, there was no expectation of that. I had seen one reel by somebody saying that they'd experienced that, but I didn't go into this with any expectations. There was one hope, and the rest of it was just curiosity. Let's see what it does. So yeah, confidence. My coordination. I never was. Many neurospicy people, we're clumsy. Spatial awareness isn't the greatest. In some cases, our dexterity isn't the greatest, and then in other cases, you've got some people who are absolutely fantastic with their hands, be it pieces of art or just the ability to build and sculpt some fantastic stuff. I'm not one of those, but my coordination has improved, and that's really cool. I mentioned the itching and scratching, something I've always done, and then when I came off the higher dose, which didn't do me so well, and then waited for the lower dose to be sent to me, I then realised that for 2 weeks I'd hardly scratched or itched, and then it was back, and then since Thursday again, it's not happening, and that's not a bad thing. I guess that's as a result of possibly things calming down, so we get overwhelmed by stuff, we can get overstimulated by all sorts of things, and maybe I mentioned before, maybe it is a form of stim, or it's just because we're overloaded, we notice stuff, whereas ordinarily it doesn't affect neurotypical people. So that was really cool. I mentioned my back, that carried on, but the few days that I had off of it, within 2 hours of me being at work and getting frustrated at myself and making mistakes, and annoyed at myself and recognising what it was, but it was still exasperating. Within 2 hours, my back has started to hurt again. Now I am carrying an injury, so there is an injury there, but I've wondered whether, as a result of the mind calming, the nervous system is calmer, and therefore muscles. These are all things I'm going to look into, by the way, and find out exactly what's going on. The time slowed down. I mentioned that's been a big one. Just more time to do stuff. Again, I guess because it's quiet in there, quieter. You can pick and choose what you want to focus on, rather than struggling or just not having an option, because there's thousands of thoughts going on, from one minute to the next. That was really good. And the weirdest one for me is perhaps around grief and the way that I handled a date a couple of weeks back, whilst I was taking the Concerta, and then on Sunday I'd seen something and just it got to me a tiny bit more. It was someone I knew far less than the way that I noticed things when I was on the Concerta, and I was like, so is it actually doing other stuff as well? Is it the balance of levels of dopamine has all these other knock-on positives? Because on that day a couple of weeks back, I was just able to acknowledge it, sit with it for a bit, and then just get on with my day. Whereas previously, my day wouldn't have been very good. So, has anyone else experienced things? You noticed some massive changes, whether they were ones that you were kind of expecting, so focus, motivation, etc., or they just, like for instance with coordination, were they completely unexpected? I'd be interested to hear any experiences, because it obviously does far more than it says on the tin, which is brilliant. There we are. If you're struggling, reach out. See you later.